Alright guys, welcome back to another video. I am going to do a build update now that the first weekend has passed for Season 3 of Dwarven Realms. I have currently pushed 169 Rupture levels. If I can find my name here, 169. I am about to be able to go do my Elven Capital runs and scale even further and go kill Zul afterwards. So if you haven't already, I have like many other guides on my channel that I've recently updated. So guides for Gravediggers, guides for Bridge, Archeon, stuff like that. Why to level other mastery, other stances. And I also have a Banshee guide. So I have all these guides, but today is going to be talking about the build that I'm currently using. The meta for the season in the early game is no offense. Going for no offense at all. So I'm using Starblades right now, but I'm not in the early game anymore. So this is now correct to use. But I did not have I was actually impressed by the amount of power that you can get now with the new passive tree, with the empowered attacks that you can get for different stance skills. So early on, the meta is no offense, luck to get a lot of experience early on to fill up your passive tree. And then once you unlock this node here, for any stance, right, it's gonna give you scaling from your main stat. Then you swap to your main stat scaling with no offense until I don't know what's the exact point, maybe Bridge, maybe Archeon, something like that, maybe a little bit further, and then you swap to eventually an offense. This video is going to be talking about my current build. Past, I'm kind of like in the middle game right now, about to go kill Zul. So what I'm using is Starblades. Starblades is one of the best offense skills to use currently in Dwarven Realms Season 3. According to my calculations, the S tier offense are Starblades, Wolves, and Spinning Blades, followed closely by Death Blades. So if you're using one of these four, you are doing something right. What is very, very strong this season is going to be phasing in the mid game. So this is my passive tree. I will have a link to my passive tree down below, but essentially I'm grabbing a little bit of health regen here. I'm grabbing all the nodes for the stat that I'm stacking. So I'm using Magery. So my Magery stat is wisdom. So for every wisdom you gain some bonuses, and also that synergizes with some of our monograms that we're using as well, but we'll go over that later. So this is my passive tree. I'm going for my wisdom stats. I'm going for the attacks that I'm using, my primary and my secondary. Eventually, once discharge, I reach enough attack speed that it procs my attack very reliably, I will give up on the opposite. Once my Chaos Mine, I have enough attack speed on my fossil to proc Starblades reliably, I'm gonna give up on these points and put them somewhere else. But for now, that's what I'm using. Getting some energy regen here, also some energy regen here, as well as some health regen. I'm grabbing these nodes for range, mastery, armor bonus. So for every mastery level that I have, right, as you play with your skill. Oh my god, what did I do? I pressed H. Anyways, as you play with your skill, you get more and more armor and damage. I'm grabbing these nodes here at the bottom. Distant Demolition. For 50%, this is a separate multi. If you're far to your enemies, and if you are very close. This one only works when you are like within, like, I think it's 0.5 meters instead of 5 meters. I think there's an error there, because you need to be basically in phasing range to be able to proc this. So that's what I'm using. This cluster is going to give you a lot of health regen with phasing trance, and we're going to see that we have a way to scale phasing trance effect even further. This one gives you increased damage per phasing trance stack. So again, this one is going to be able to be scaled further. Of course, you're grabbing for the offense that you're using all of your affinities for cooldown and damage. So the damage is a separate multiplier, and the cooldown as well is a separate cooldown recovery speed stat for your cooldown. So since this is Starblades is Sky and Blade, as you can see here on my offense, they have the Sky and Blade tags. Then I'm going to be using the Sky and the Blade clusters here. So that covers it. I'm grabbing a little bit of extra movement speed from this cluster, I'm grabbing the extra potion slots from this cluster. I'm going up here for the inventory slots. This is just really good, like, you know, if you're AFK farming or if you're farming, like, you don't fill up your inventory as fast. I always grab this. I am grabbing the Bloodlust critical damage bonus, so it's going to give me an extra amount of critical damage because I'm using the Bloodlust Helm, which we'll see in very, very soon. And I'm grabbing this cluster, which is the triple elemental damage cluster, just for extra elemental damage. So that covered my passive tree. Now if I go for the gear that I'm using, right? On my helm, I am using Bloodlust. So Bloodlust is going to give me some crit damage, attack speed, and movement speed. And yeah, I'm going to increase the bonuses I'm getting from Bloodlust from this cluster here. So Bloodlust is something that you proc when you kill an enemy or when you hit a rare or boss enemy. So you get up to 100 stacks of it. So you stack this quite fast in Ruptures, and it's just a very good buff early on, while you don't have that much crit damage bonus yet. On my amulet, I am using gain 1 additional potion slot for every 50 of your highest stat. This is going to be your main way of scaling your relic and your boots. So what does this give you? Currently, I'm using the one that gives me 20 maximum health for each available potion. But one thing to note is that before swapping to the maximum health for each available potion, you want to make sure that you get your armor bonus, your damage reduction from armor, very high. I'd say I swapped to it once I reached about 70 because I was farming lower Ruptures. But on a push scenario, I would still want to get some more armor because, you know, I'm only getting 78% reduction, where the cap is 80%. So 80% is where I really want this armor damage reduction bonus to be. But getting this health afterwards is going to be the best thing you can do. So also scaling your health is going to scale your health regen, because percent health regen in this game is based off of the maximum health that you have. So if I have 50% health regen, I am regening 50% of my health per second. So that's going to be huge, right? So that's what I'm grabbing on this, which is scaling off of my amulet, which is giving me 1 potion per 50 of my highest stat. As you can see, I have 3.6k wisdom. On my boots, I'm getting 2.5% maximum health per potion slot, which again is scaling this as well. How am I getting this much stat? Well, most of it is coming from my purples here, which is giving me, once you reach Archeon is going to give you gear that has percentage stat bonuses on them. So you can see my gloves have 27.56, and my pants have 27.56 as well. So these are very, very big bonuses to boost your main stat, and that is why like trying to get reach Archeon as fast as possible is a good thing to do, right? So you do bridges and then you do Archeon. It requires 5 bridge dungeon to get 1 key to Archeon to get this. So that is what I'm using for my left side. This one I just did not get it in Archeon. I would like to have the chest piece for Archeon here as well. My pet, I am using a pet which has lightning and arcane damage on it. The reason why I'm going lightning and arcane is because I am padding this way anyway, and then the lightning cluster is here, whereas the fire cluster is here, and I don't really want to pad to here. It doesn't really matter if you you don't really have to invest points in here anyways. These are kind of like just leftover points that I have. But yeah, it's slightly better if you're going if you are going on this side to go arcane and lightning, especially if you're Magery, right? Just slightly more efficient. So that is what I'm using on my pet. I am saving my Elysia scales to wait before I get a weapon from either Zol or Scorch to see if I'm gonna be swapping to something else instead of Starblades, because I could get just very unlucky and not get my Starblades weapon. And then I would maybe play, play something else. But that's why I'm saving my scales. This is just basically pass your first 3 initial upgrades on your pet that you go get into Elysia. These are just 1% per scale elemental damage, so it's not very big. On my bracer, I'm getting phasing trance effect by 10% for every 50 of your highest stat. So that means that for my stats, every 500 stats will double the effect of phasing trance, which is phasing trance is flat damage, right? It's boss damage. It's also HP regen, and it's also increased damage. So that is why phasing trance is so good. On my ring, I'm going for boss damage for every 25 of my highest stat, and I'm going for health for 25 of my highest stat as well. So I'm stacking to scale my HP, my boss damage, my potions, which is scaling my phasing trance, my HP here, my HP there. It's just like everything scales off of your stats. It's also giving you, your stats are giving you armor, max health, Magery damage, Magery crit damage. It's just like everything just scales incredibly well off of your stats, and that is why you are using this. On my weapon, of course, I have Starblades, an extra mod for my Starblades. I'm trying to get I had a double roll of damage here for my weapon. So as you can see, 195. This is like twice the regular amount. There's a slight chance that when you drop an item, it has double the amount of the stats that it usually rolls. So that's where I went for this. And then for my stat priority on my items like this, I don't have perfect gear, but what you're trying to go for is going to be percentage wisdom. I'm using a pet for lightning and arcane, so I can get either arcane or lightning damage. I also want to get, at this point, my flat scaling is going to come a lot from my mastery level here, because in my passive tree, I have this node, which is giving me 2 flat per mastery bonus. So a lot comes from this, and a lot also comes from my phasing trance stacks, which is giving me 2 per stack, and then it's scaling off of my stats. So I'm getting a lot of flat damage. So I'm not really looking for flat damage anymore at this point. I'm looking for wisdom, flat wisdom, percent elemental damage, whether it is arcane or lightning. And I am also looking for offhand damage, which would be Starblades damage in my case, right? So as you can see, my gear is not really crazy. I'm just scaling and scaling and scaling. I'm still farming lots of scrolls to go do my Elven capital runs. So I'm farming Tiberian scrolls, Hinterland scrolls, and Harmonian, so I can go buy them ambassador keys in the catacombs for these. I'm also trying to farm some of these Elven fragments to buy some more Elven capital keys as well. So that is where I'm at with the build. I don't think I forgot anything. Did I forget something here? Oh, here is an example of my fossil. So I've done a few grave diggers. Yeah, grave diggers, very, very good to do. So to scale your early fossil, you are going to grave diggers, bridge to go to Archeon, and I am soon going to be going to do Zol. Don't forget to do your ancient catacombs as well. And my cards. Oh, okay, right, my cards. So the cards that I'm focusing on are going to be wisdom cards. At this point in the game, I want to scale my stats as much as possible. So I'm going all in on wisdom. My cards aren't the best. I have some random cards here that I did not get wisdom on because I was just unlucky with my rolls. But I'm getting wisdom and crit, wisdom bonus. So the 2 main cards that you're looking for are going to be wisdom percent and also wisdom, well, the 2 wisdom percent ones. There's a 10% and there's a 5%. When you get all of your cards for one set, the set doubles and you get like basically double the amount of stats from these cards. So that's what I'm going. I'm going for as much wisdom as possible. As you can see, I have wisdom everywhere. So that pretty much covers where I am at with the build. Rupture 169. I will be going much harder than this once I do my Elven capital runs. I'm going to have like maybe almost 100 ambassador keys to do. And I will have guides for that as well. I'll have guides for Zol. I'll have guides for Scorch. As I get to progress to these endgame dungeons, I will make a guide for them. So that pretty much covers it. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you guys all in the next build update.